I want to talk to you about the theory of co-parenting, which looks very, very different when you live in two houses as opposed to when you lived in one. And it's really hard. It's probably the thing that people struggle with most post-breakup or post-divorce because you can get the money divided. You can figure out the supports. You can figure out how to divide your property. But the co-parenting issues just come up again and again and again, and your children's needs are constantly changing. And it means that there's this moving target of a relationship that you have to have with someone that you've broken up with or who has broken up with you. And so asking someone to do that day in and day out and navigate the difficult situation that is parenting in and of itself is hard, really hard. So before we talk about plans, I'd like to talk about that. Here's some things you need to know. You are going to give up control. So the role that you had as your child's parent is going to change. There is now going to be a big chunk of parenting time, and that may vary for different people, but there's going to be a chunk of parenting time where your children are not with you and you don't really have a right to demand access to information about what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. If you've got a cell phone, then you can text them and say, hey, how did your spelling test go? Or did you get your science exam back? But one of the things that we're going to talk about is how much should you be communicating with your children when they're with the other parent? And how much involvement should you have on what they're doing? And how much involvement should your ex have in what's going on with you and your children when they're with you? These are not easy issues at all, and it looks different from parent to parent. So I'm going to talk to you about some theories and some rules and some things that will make your life easier. But ultimately, what you need to know is that these things will change. What works for you today and what your relationship with your other parent looks like today probably won't be what it looks like in a year or in 2 years or in 3 years. You do not have the same rights to information and involvement as you did when you were living in the same house. And for some people, this is very, very difficult because you are giving up control and of something that feels so natural, right? I mean, we've been parenting our children since they were born. For moms, we grew these kids. For dads, you go from having day-to-day interaction and involvement with everything to not, and that can be really hard. You also have both more and less responsibility. When your children are with you, it is your responsibility to figure out the day-to-day. That means where beforehand you may have divided parenting into, hey, I'm going to get the kids ready and then you're going to take them to school. Or I'm going to get these kids ready and you get those kids ready. Or I'm going to do breakfast and make lunches and you're going to take care of driving them. That all changes. And now it's all you. Same thing with homework and dinner and bedtime. So the day-to-day is all whoever has that parent. And it's really not appropriate on a day-to-day basis to be calling the other parent and asking for help. Now, there's going to be exceptions to that, and you get to do what works for you. But I can tell you, for instance, that there was last spring season where one of my kids was doing track and one of my kids was doing basketball. And sometimes they had games or activities on the same day. And we have a local parenting plan. And so when it was possible to coordinate on transportation, we did. But there's no expectation. You cannot expect that the other parent is going to coordinate with you, nor do you get to demand that. So you can ask, and if it works for you, great. And the other parent can ask you, and if it works for you, great. But if it doesn't, it's okay to say, no, I can't help you this time. Or no, I can't be there this time. Or whatever. And then the thing that you need to realize if you're the parent with the children is that it is your responsibility to figure out both track and basketball. And you don't really get to lay in a guilt trip to the other parent. And you don't really get to kind of demand where they're going to be or what it is they're doing. That's really none of your business. So this is the kind of ebb and flow that is co-parenting that can make things so difficult. When should you involve your ex? Well, if your kids go to the doctor and need a prescription, you should tell your ex. If your children have an injury, that is looked at by a doctor, you should tell your ex. If they have an injury that maybe you don't look at by the doctor, but you've decided you need to watch it and see what happens, you need to inform your ex. You don't need to inform your ex about the eating habits of the kids at your house. But if there are major changes or things that you see that you have concerns about, that you think are maybe long-term changes or long-term problems, then you need to involve the other parent and let the other parent know what's going on. So because they may have information that you need in order for you two to be making the best decisions for your children. Here's some rules. You cannot, under any circumstances, badmouth the other parent. And that includes talking facts or discussing reality of what's going on. You can't do it. The less you can say about the other parent, the better, unless it's to lift up their role, the other parent's role in your children's life. So unless you're saying something like, Dad is so good at doing Pinewood Derby cars with you, you must be so excited to do that this year. That is a perfectly acceptable thing to say. What you cannot say is, I really shouldn't be doing this Pinewood Derby car because, your dad should do it because he's a lot better at it than I am. That is different. Or, I wonder where your dad is and why he's not doing blah, blah, blah with you. You can't do that. You just can't. Do not tell your kids to tell the other parent, hey, Mom said it's fine if I stay a couple extra nights with you. Or, Mom said it's fine if you do this project with me. Don't do that. If you want to communicate with the other parent about a schedule change or who's doing what or transportation, you need to do that directly. Do not send that through your children. Never, ever, ever discuss money, division of money with your children. Dad's going to pay for this, Mom's going to pay for this, Dad owes me money, he never gives me enough. Do not do it. One of the things that can be really hard for parents is when there's conflict between the child and one parent and the other parent. So you are the parent who has a great relationship, let's say, with your daughter, and your daughter and her dad are having a lot of problems communicating and getting what you want to listen to what it is that your children are telling you, but you want to be very neutral in your responses, and you want to be very supportive in the job that they have to do. So our children's job is to figure out how to navigate a relationship with their parents. They would have needed to do that if they lived with both of you. If you both lived in the same house and there was conflict between your daughter and her dad, you would give her tips on how to navigate that conflict. That is your job now, too. You can influence your children to help give them skills to have better outcomes at the other parent's house. That is very different from bad-mouthing the other parent. So sometimes moms, in this situation that I'm thinking about, a mom and a daughter might be like, oh, I can't believe your dad did that. He's so unfair. He's so mean. I can't believe he took away your cell phone. That's not what you should be doing. Instead, you should be saying, okay, well, how did you get your cell phone taken away? What can we do? Here's another example. I have a friend who's divorced, and her ex-husband is kind of a disaster in that he never has laundry done, he doesn't have homework ready, he can't figure out how to pay his bills on time, he's just kind of a mess. What does she do? She works with her children to get them skills and give them tips to get their laundry done. So she's not bad-mouthing their dad, who loves them very much and spends time with them, and they love him. He just isn't good at laundry. And so if he's not good at laundry, then the kids have to learn how to be good at laundry. So that is a mind shift that I'm asking you to make. Remember, you chose the other person's parent. You chose your children's parent. You had children. You chose this person to be half of your children. And so saying anything negative about them is really completely unacceptable. Now, if it's happened, we all have our moments. I'm not saying beat yourself up. Just remember next time, you can probably do better. And you have an opportunity every single day to be the best parent you can be, which means never bad-mouthing the other parent.